Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wasahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah kita bertemu lagi dalam Coffee Talk ya, bulanan kita, dan untuk bulan ini Dr Har yang akan host, anak anda saya ya, Aiman Azlan. Apa khabar Aiman?
Alhamdulillah, sihat walafiat. Apa khabar Dr Har?
Alhamdulillah. Sekarang ni Isyak dah masuk dalam awal sikit kan. Jadi 9.30 kira dah settle lah, insyaAllah. Taklah terburu-buru sangat kan.
Yes,
jadi
betul.
Tujuannya kita still stick to 9.30 tu sebabnya kita nak mungkin santai sikit waktu malam minggu ni. Dan mungkin anak-anak pun dah tidur kan. Dan kita nak bincangkan tajuk yang Dr. rasa sangat penting. Bulan lepas kita bincangkan tajuk yang tentang intimacy. Is the fire still burning? Aiman dapat feedback macam mana? Dr. dapat feedback dari kawan-kawan kata macam sebabnya Dr. bimbang takut tajuk tu macam mungkin tak rasa janggal ke atau rasa tak selesa ke. Tapi Alhamdulillah dia orang dengar. I have a few of my friends yang memang dengar sampai habis dia punya rakaman tu kan, and then dia rasa macam the topic was very respectfully delivered. Alhamdulillah kan.
Alhamdulillah, itu harapan dia. It's tough sebab I think we're setting a precedent sebenarnya on how to conduct discussion yang public pasal topik macam tu. And obviously ada banyak teritori yang usually orang elak, and then we carefully lah, hopefully we are careful traverse into that territory. But Alhamdulillah, even from my side, my audience rata-rata memang memuji lah. Tidak ada yang kata, tak patut cakap. So far, I did not receive any, not even one yang macam tu. Rata-rata mengatakan this is much needed, like topik yang tak pernah dibual di rumah dengan parents. It's kind of a taboo thing, but people yang nak kahwin ataupun sudah berkahwin, they need to hear it and they need to know about it. So I'm glad that we took the leap and it was a good landing.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. So kira macam bila cakap macam tu, macam you know the gymnast dekat Olimpik tu kan. Bila nak landing tu kita dah suspend dah kan. So Alhamdulillah we managed to actually one of the comment that I got from my own friend lah, kawan Dr. sendiri, another doctor, dia kata well, you have put it, dia kata, in a way that it's a mother talking to the son, you know, to a son, and you as the mother and you are also a doctor, dia kata. So benda tu jadikan macam, you know, when a doctor actually speaks on this, dan benda ni memang Dr. banyak juga kena membincangkannya dalam my work as a clinician ni. Jadi mungkin dia jadi tak janggal. Okay. So I guess lepas tu kita bincangkan hari ni tentang let's negotiate and navigate. Dan sebenarnya sebab kalau kita lihat di dalam jua masalah rumah tangga, eventually when you want to nak menambah baik, maknanya yang dah baik tu kita tambah baik, atau macam contohnya yang tengah berhadapan dengan kesukaran, kita nak bantu mereka menyelesaikan masalah mereka, kan. Aiman, itu sebenarnya we can only give them some kind of macam skill dan juga you know, bimbingan supaya mereka boleh menyelesaikan sendiri, bukannya datang jumpa Aiman dan Aiman yang selesaikan, bukan begitu kan. Jadi so dalam ada kalau institute government ni dia mempunyai satu kaedah untuk couple therapy dia panggil kan, Aiman. Maknanya this is actually untuk bila ada masalah tu berjumpa dengan marital counselor, atau di sana dia panggil couple therapist because they might not be married kan. Tapi antaranya dia kata at the end tu kita kena pastikan tiga bahagian ni yang sering kali sangat bermasalah sebenarnya bila datangnya masalah-masalah ni adalah supaya dia boleh bertindan dan akhirnya boleh menjadi kekuatan untuk keluarga tersebut, ya, untuk rumah tangga tersebut. So it's like Venn diagram gitu, ya. Dia ada 3 circle. Circle yang pertama tu adalah konflik yang konstruktif. Konflik ni ada yang destruktif juga kan, Aiman.
Yang
Dan ini
membina.
kalau so ini maknanya konflik yang membina. Sebab konflik yang destruktif ni yang Dr. Har ingat dalam training tu, dia kata kalau ada, setiap kita kena kenal pasti kita punya gridlock. Maknanya kita punya tempat yang kita akan bertembung dan tak ada siapa nak mengalah. So kat sini ni kira macam checkmate gitu. So dia kata yang kat situ, kalau you spend your time kat situ, you will end up with having destructive conflict. Konflik tu akan merosakkan rumah tangga tu. So di awal-awal lagi dia minta kita identify ada area yang kita memang kalau kita masuk situ mesti jam punya tu. Yang area tu jangan masuk lah. Sebab mungkin ada yang kata macam mana boleh kita kena selesaikan konflik tu. Ya, tapi sebenarnya kita boleh letakkan konflik itu kat tepi sebab kita kena look into this constructive conflict. Jadi konflik yang lebih membina ni. Okay. Satu lagi
pick your battles lah kan Dr. Har.
Yes, betul lah. Maknanya nak alang-alang nak bersilat tu, pilihlah gelanggang. Itu bahasa kita lah kalau gitu. So kalau misalnya maknanya dalam rumah tangga ni pun banyak gelanggang silatnya. Yang isteri bawa silat pulut, suami bawa silat petani. So kita tengok, okay. Lepas tu yang bulatan yang kedua adalah intimacy atau friendship. Dan di situ yang kita bincangkan minggu lepas. Bahawa intimacy tu mesti dalam, cukup mendalam untuk mengikat hati kita tu. Sebab tu yang kalau secara fizikalnya lah, dalam sebulan nak dapat sekali pun payah, ya, hubungan suami isteri, ataupun apatah lagi kalau dah tak ada diagendakan, dah bertahun-tahun, bila tanya tak ingat dah bila the last one, ya, bersama tu. Itu sangatlah menjadikan, ya, masalah tu yang mungkin kecil pun jadi besar. Okay. Dan yang ketiga tu apa, Aiman? Shared meaning. Maknanya
yang ketiga shared meaning. Yes, shared meaning.
Objektif kita yang sebenarnya kalau kita sebagai pasangan Muslim ni cukup mudah nak sampai kat situ. Apa sebenarnya, kenapa kita berkahwin? Itu yang paling asas sekali. Dan kalau misalnya dua-duanya berkahwin dengan atas objektif yang sama, itu dah ada satu kekuatan di situ. Jadi hari ni Aiman, kita tengok macam mana kita nak jadikan konflik itu konstruktif. Kita mesti ada kemahiran negotiation, ya, atau negosiasi. Dalam bahasa Melayu perundingan. Negotiation tu perundingan kan, kita katakan perunding cara atau macam tu. Dan juga navigasi. So navigation ni macam kira
membawa diri,
navigation. Apa tu? Tengok kat mana?
Kita nak bawa diri kita kan dalam navigasi tu.
Okay, alright. So mungkin
operational definition je Dr. Har.
Okay. Bahtera, bila kita navigate sebenarnya, bila kita nak cari jalan tu lah, ya, kita akan pakai kompas, kita akan navigate kan. So mungkin kita letakkan untuk navigation ni, mungkin Dr. Har rasa pengemudian. Maknanya kita kemudikan kita punya sampan ataupun bahtera tu melalui lautan kehidupan ini. Tahulah di situ ada taufan badainya, di situ mungkin ada ombak yang ni, mungkin juga, ya, ada masanya tu ada batu-batu, ya, kalau mungkin dah tepi daratan sikit tu mungkin ada tanjung dan, ya, tempat yang bahaya, ya, contohnya. Jadi ini semua kita nak navigate macam mana tu. So okay, Dr. Har nak serahkan pada Aiman. Kalau misalnya Aiman, macam mana Aiman nak buka tajuk ni lah, silakan.
Saya kebetulan dapat DM direct message daripada salah seorang follower saya, I think yesterday kalau tak silap. And kebetulan berkaitan dengan apa yang kita bincang malam ni, because it's such a common topic. Saya boleh katakan dalam seminggu tu wajiblah dapat soalan yang berkaitan tentang negotiation ni. So yesterday this particular individual, dia message, dia kata dia mengharapkan perkahwinan yang tiada masalah. This is a single person lah. A single person. Belum lagi married. Dalam proses nak berkahwin, saya rasa dia dah bertunang kalau tak silap, but don't quote me on that lah, but dia tak berkahwin lagi. And expectation dia adalah kalau kita berkahwin ni, kalau everything okay, Allah redai, tak ada masalah lah. I mean, problem free. That's the expectation. And then I simply, you know, my style lah kan, kalau saya jumpa isu yang macam ni, saya suka menjawab dengan soalan. Boleh je menjawab dengan jawapan, tetapi menjawab dengan soalan itu boleh trigger orang untuk berfikir. So saya tanya, simple je, wujud ke perkahwinan yang tiada masalah? Right, it's a very simple question, wujud ke? And dia fikir sekejap je, dia kata, oh tak ada, tidak wujud perkahwinan ni tiada masalah. Dah tu, but you hold on to this expectation yang you nak perkahwinan yang kalau kita guna analogi bahtera kan, smooth sailing, tidak ada ombak, angin cantik, ada burung berterbangan, kan, everything is like crystal clear sky. Tapi realiti tidak begitu. Realiti dia adalah ombak akan datang, okay, and then tersesat jalan, tak nampak dia punya bintangnya pasal awan tebal sangat. These things happen. And kita sekiranya nak masuk dalam pengemudian ini, nak mengembara ni, kita kena ada expectation yang realistik lah. Kalau tak, kita masuk kapal tu expecting yang oh this is all smooth sailing. Obviously kita buat doa yang everything's going to be well, but behind our mind tu, di belakang ni, kita ada expectation yang trouble will come. Okay, realistic. Kita tak tahu trouble tu datang daripada mana, macam mana, bentuk apa, because everything is in the future kan Dr. Har, so kita tak tahu. However, kita kena simpan, ada reserve kat belakang tu, the nature of human relationship akan ada benda tu. So when you do that, you become more aware, satu, you become more careful, dua, and you become more grounded lah. Bukan you know, di awangan berfantasi, tapi anda berada di atas bumi yang nyata, berfikirkan ya, kita sayang each other, ya, we love each other very much, this is a marriage, we have shared meaning, yes, but still in this journey ni akan ada bumps on the road ataupun waves on the sea, in the sea. So I think pembukaan perbincangan kita ni kita kena buka dengan mengatakan all marriages akan ada ombak-ombaknya. So nobody yang menonton ini patut rasa macam aku seorang je yang ada masalah. No, semua orang ada, but obviously ombak kita berlain-lain lah. Pasal kapal kita lain-lain, kita punya laut pun berbeza. Tapi hopefully destinasi kita sebagai orang Muslim sama lah. Itu je lah. Destinasi kita sama. Sampai ke situ. Cuma don't expect yang aku naik kapal ni, or is everything going to be happy, everything's going to be smooth sailing. I think I mentioned it before, yang syaitan, dia begitu bekerja keras sebelum kita berkahwin kan, waktu kita bujang kan, dia nak kita buat macam-macam benda yang bukan-bukan. And then kita kata, oh kalau aku kahwin ni insyaAllah aku settle kot nafsu aku. Actually no. Lagilah syaitan bekerja kuat once you get married. Because he has more motivation to break you up. You know. Now he can break a marriage up. So dia ada 2-in-1 victory untuk dia. So we have to keep that in mind, and juga kena sedar yang syaitan dia tak ada, you know, tak ada cutinya. Syaitan tak ada cutinya. Dia memang dalam Quran tu dah jelas dah, dia memang akan kacau anak Adam ni.
Dia tak ada kerja lain. Dia tak ada kerja lain. Kerja dia memang
lain. Dia satulah benda yang syaitan yang saya boleh puji lah. Dia punya work ethic dia memang tip top lah. Etika kerja dia memang tip top lah. Dia memang tak ada distracted apa. Dia memang fokus on one objective. Dia akan buat sampai bila-bila. That's how I usually would start the conversation lah bila orang buka topik ni kan. We have to understand this is our level playing field. Cabaran itu pasti. Ya.
Baik. Oleh sebab itu, bila kita tahu yang cabaran itu pasti, maka kita lebih realistik dan pragmatik. Dan mungkin apa yang Dr. Har, sama je apa yang Aiman cakap tu lah. We will always need to pray for the best but prepare for the worst. Itu cara yang paling baik untuk menyediakan diri untuk segala-galanya, kan? Jadi kalau yang best tu tadi lah, yang happily ever after tu. That's too many of all those fantasy ataupun yang macam seolah-olah especially dalam dunia media sosial ni terlalu banyak digambarkan yang cantik-cantik saja. Tapi couple tu yang sweet-sweet tu pun sebenarnya dia adis yang dia orang agaknya kan sangat bermasalah, tapi dia tak tunjuklah tu dekat Facebook ataupun dekat Instagram. Yang dia tunjuk yang tengah sweet-sweet tu lah kan. Jadi dan mungkin
dan memang patut macam tu pun Dr. Har. Janganlah tunjuk benda buruk pula.
Betul tu. Tapi kita doakan kita akan jadi begitu ya, tapi dan kita tahu juga orang-orang yang nampak sweet tu bukannya dia tak work for it. Ya, dia memang sentiasa, kita ni nampak je graceful, dia macam ibarat itik ataupun angsa yang cantik tu kan dekat atas tasik tu kan. Tapi kaki kat bawah tu Allah je yang tahu macam mana macam mana dia berdayung tu kan. So I think tapi itulah maksudnya sekarang ni kita pergi kepada orang yang DM Aiman tu, I hope dia tahu bahawa dia tak boleh lah terus dengan fantasi dia ni. Cumanya bila kita bersedia untuk menghadapi taufan badai di dalam lautan kehidupan berumah tangga ni, kita memang kena ada kemahiran antara yang kita bincangkan hari ni ya, how to negotiate and navigate. Okay, jadi okay, Dr. Har mengajar ya subjek negotiation ni dekat kursus leadership and interpersonal skill.
Nak belajar
dekat UKM. Dan sebelum Dr. Han nak cakap lebih lanjut lagi, negotiation ni sebenarnya menjadi satu subjek utama di Harvard sekarang. Kalau tengok Harvard Law School, dia memang ada every month tu dia akan ada macam 3 days masa sebelum COVID ni lah ya, where the student can just take that 3 days and they get their certification. And I think there are a few stages, maknanya you ada yang macam basic and then intermediate and then advanced gitu ya. Sebab of course kalau you tengok kan dalam legal punya urusan and matters, sometimes kita selalu suruh dia negotiate out of the court kan, yang itu lebih senang lah. So negotiation becoming a subject juga dekat Harvard Business School. In fact medicine pun ada, because we need to negotiate juga kan. We all medic kena negotiate dengan patient satu, dengan family, and we have to negotiate among ourselves. Kan,
especially sekarang kan Dr. Har,
of course,
dengan anti-vaksinnya, misinformationnya.
Sure.
You have to negotiate macam mana nak bercakap.
Right. So negotiation becoming not just an art but also a science now. Dan saya Dr. Har ada seorang student Dr. Har yang tengah buat masters dekat Kennedy School of Government. Dekat situ. Dia berkata memang satu semester tu, sem 2 dia ke macam tu, memang ada 2 or 3 credit hours of negotiation. So negotiation becoming something that is well researched, and also didapati bahawa sebenarnya ada a few things tentang negotiation ni yang nanti Dr. Har bagikan sedikit dia punya, I think maybe boleh share slide juga ni. Kan selalu kita tak ada slide boleh. Tapi hari ni sebab Aiman kata nak belajar dengan Dr. Har ni, so Dr. Har kata tunjuk slide lah. Tak apa, nanti Dr. Har sharekan. Dan slide dia tak banyak juga sebenarnya, tapi really an eye opener. Okay, maybe Bina boleh kedepankan Bina my slide tu. Okay dah. Alright, so nanti slide Dr. Har tunjuk ni dulu. Nampak dah Aiman?
Nampak.
Okay, good.
Bertuah UKM.
So, alhamdulillah lah. Bukan UKM, student yang ambil ni lah. So now I'm teaching you all yes. 2 credit hours, tapi negotiation ni memang specific 2 hours on this arts and science. So everything in your life is a negotiation. Ini Dr. Phil selalu kalau you nampak ada Dr. Phil ni motivator ni.
Talk show tu.
Everything in your life is a negotiation. And actually in business and in life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. Okay? So if you're a good negotiator, then you get what you want, and then well, sometimes kita rasa macam kenapa kita tak dapat, kenapa orang ni dapat semua. Sebenarnya dia adalah orang yang lebih pandai nak negotiate. Okay, so ada 2 cerita lah kalau misalnya saja Dr. Har ni selalu minta student tengok movie ni, and then I will ask them kat part mana yang negotiation tu. So this is a very nice movie. You know, santai-santai tengok Monster-in-Law. Actually, I love all about Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda punya movie tak tahan nak tengok sebab I find her such an interesting actress, you know. And then of course stepmom ni aduh, I kena bawa kotak tisu lah, you know. It's so, as a mother, you know, dia sebenarnya, you know, sedih sangat. But the negotiation tu, okay, right. So this is what I'm telling you all about the Harvard Law School. Dia memang ada 3 days of training every month. April, May, June is a summer class, yeah. September and then October and December ada juga, you know. So this become dealing with difficult problems and difficult people. So you need negotiation, okay? So negotiation ni kan, kalau you tengok kan, is actually bargaining. It's give and take process between 2 or more parties, each with its own aims, needs and viewpoints. So kalau kita tengok ni dalam rumah tangga, kita memang antara suami isteri tu kita ada kita punya, of course we have our shared meaning, tapi we also have our own aim juga kan, our own needs tu and viewpoint. So how do you actually go about with it? So I like this definition. Dia kata back and forth communication. Dia komunikasi yang pergi balik tu. Design to reach an agreement that is the main objective between 2 or more parties that have some interest, but and then at the same time ada yang oppose juga. So kalau semuanya okay, semuanya oppose saja, dah tak payah negotiate lah. Kalau semuanya okay je kan, agree semua, tak payah negotiate. Ini yang bila dia kata kita ni seronok lah, biasalah kan, bila Dr. Har jadi chairperson ke, ingat semua orang dah agree, dia tiba Prof, saya tak setuju lah. Okay, macam ni kan. So ada suara yang tak setuju tu. Okay, so it's actually Macmillan ni dia kata, I have learned that in all negotiation nothing matters except the will to reach agreement. Sebenarnya kalau you memang nak reach an agreement, negotiation ni boleh going on and on and on. Tapi kalau you memang
it's not about winning.
Right, it's actually coming ni. Ada satu lagi, don't play tug of war, negotiate. And so maknanya dia macam, you know, I like this part. Lepas ni, this is the best quotes I ever had. Nobody leaves a negotiation happy. Okay. Kalau misalnya somebody actually walk from a negotiation happy, that's not a negotiation. You know, maksud dia, do you agree with that, Aiman?
Maknanya dia seorang je yang happy, pelik semacam tu kan. There's something wrong lah kat situ.
It's not a negotiation kat situ. Dia dah being manipulative lah. Tapi kalau dia betul-betul nego, it's a win-win. So it's definitely you have nanti Dr. Har tengok apa type dia, type of negotiation. So there's 3 types. Satu is actually distributive or manipulative. It's a win-lose. And then, you know, one party's gain is another party's loss. So this is also a negotiation, but it's a one-sided negotiation lah, manipulative. And then ada collaborative. Yang ini yang kita nak. Integrative ni, dia joint problem solving, achieve result which benefit both, so it's a win-win. Positional interesting tau ya. Positional kalau you tengok, dia sebenarnya is actually when you clarify your position of something in that negotiation, then of course you are more committed towards it. Jadinya macam itu sebabnya dalam konteks collaboration, negotiation, gaya komunikasi yang paling perlu digunakan adalah assertiveness. You kena assertive, you kena suarakan pandangan you juga, mengapa you tak berapa agree dengan pandangan yang mainstream contohnya kan. So I think positional ni tunjukkan bahawa once you have that negotiation and you laid out all the terms and condition, you become more committed untuk kalau lah the agreement is achieved, you tend to stick to your words, gitulah. So this is so I think this is in a way collaborative juga, I would say, tapi macam, you know, this is more of positional. So sometimes you need to negotiate because of your position contohnya. Okay, this is my last slide lah Okay, so kalau kita tengok ada 5 style of negotiation. Ni macam followership juga tau, dia ada 5. So if you compete, yang ni our wants and our needs, yang bawah ni adalah their wants and their needs, the other party kan. So kalau misalnya kita saja menang, lepas tu yang orang ni lose, itu competition namanya. So this is the way you negotiate tu, tapi you compete sebenarnya. And usually maybe this is the kind of negotiation that goes into the court lah kan. I win, you lose. Or that kind ni lah ya. Maknanya satu mesti menang, satu mesti kalah. Okay. Kalau you avoid negotiation, you tak bincang pun, you know, what's your need and what's your want and the other person juga, you try to avoid it. So this is actually avoidance style of negotiation. You don't even negotiate. Yang ni yang selalu Dr. Har rasa bila dah jadi passive aggressive lah. You know, you
dua-dua tak dapat.
Cakap pun tak guna. So biar je lah, diam je lah. So I lose, you lose. Tak ada apa ya. Masalah tu tak selesai lah. Kan ya? Now, when you actually, you yang lose. Tapi the other party yang menang, itu namanya accommodative lah. You accommodate. So you, ya maknanya orang tu yang menang, you yang kalah. Okay? And of course, yang warna pelik sikit tu, collaborative tu, this is actually when, you know, our wants and needs are being sort of considered and yang diorang punya pun juga. So it's a win-win. So it's a collaborative. It's a collaborative ni lah. Yang ni tadi. Yeah? It's a collaborative punya style. Now, remember, kita selalu kata, come on, compromise lah. Compromise is actually macam, you know, dekat tengah-tengah je tau. Dia macam, I win some, you win some. I lose some, you will also lose some. So
dia masih
ini,
lagi keep score.
Ya, jadi macam compromise ni to me, always kita selalu dengar compromise sikit. Actually we have to go beyond compromising. We have to actually go for collaboration lah supaya kita ada win-win. Okay? So, Aiman, I think itu je dulu untuk my apa kata my input. This is not a lecture kan. Nanti korang kata macam lecture pula. Kan? So, Aiman,
I don't mind. The slide that you showed yang last kali tu, something caught my attention about compete and accommodate. Saya nampak macam you know, we at least in my line of work, dengan sharing yang saya terima daripada my audience kan, agak ramai juga yang berada dalam perkahwinan yang seorang selalu accommodate, seorang lagi selalu compete. So the one yang selalu compete tu dia nak menang sentiasa, and the one yang accommodate tu dia bagi orang tu menang sentiasa.
So that is actually passive style of communications. Yang
one passive and one aggressive kan.
Yang accommodate sangat tu, and then the one yang compete tu, these are the aggressive type of communicator. So it actually falls back into that juga sebenarnya. And to me, the one yang compromise tu, these are people who dia memang pandai lah. Dia boleh baca, you know, the other person tu, and then apa yang patut dia buat dalam masa-masa tersebut. So this person dia akan guna either accommodate, ada benda dia avoid, ada benda dia boleh collaborate, and then ada benda mungkin dia compete juga. So Dr. Har rasa is okay sebenarnya to be able to do that. Tapi if you keep on compromising saja, I think you do not have a stand. Kan? Jadi macam dia jadi macam duduk kat Al-A'raf tu lah. Dia nak masuk syurga, ada jahat yang sama, ada banyak juga jahat. Nak masuk neraka, ada baik juga kan. So pada ramai orang yang take this stand. Cuma mungkin kita kena kita kena at least faham dulu. And then maybe you can see whether you are more of a, you know, sometimes kita kena compromise juga kan, Aiman. Tapi
yes, betul.
That is not the usual way lah. Kalau compromise tu macam tadi kan, I win some, you win some, I lose some, you lose some gitu. Jadi macam kita tak nak lah juga win-lose. To me, it's about win-lose juga sebenarnya kalau compromising tu kan. Tapi, well, I do not know which one yang better after collaborate, but obviously yang accommodate dengan yang compete tu is the one yang sangat selalu kita lihat sebenarnya, Aiman. You are very right in observing that, because itulah cara kita banyak communicate dalam rumah tangga kita kan. Bila seorang agresif, baik suami atau isteri, yang seorang lagi kena pasif. Remember, kalau kita punya fasa perhubungan dalam yang kedua tu, power struggle, this is actually the one yang ketidakseimbangan kuasa. Maka akhirnya the whole direction of the whole family will go into the direction of those who are aggressive. Dan sedangkan seorang lagi tu
my way or the highway.
Right. Okay. So so there is actually satu pihak mendominasi, satu pihak memang kena submit kan. And of course benda tu yang menghasilkan penderaan emosi, penderaan mungkin sampai physical juga, because selalunya agresif tu dia punya negotiation is that you tak ikut, so and very manipulative juga sebenarnya kan. I yang bagi you makan ni, kalau you tak ikut, I stop giving you your allowance, macam tu contohnya kan.
Aku suami tau, kena taat pada suami tau.
Okay, so this is also yang kita panggil sebagai penderaan spiritual. Dia akan gunakan agama, dia akan gunakan apa yang yang buatkan kita rasa macam satu hujah yang orang perempuan tak boleh nak ni lah, kan. Ada yang kata syurga kamu tu kat tapak kaki aku tau. Siapa dah dia dengar di mana tu, dalam Quran tak ada, dalam hadis tak ada. Tapi isteri ni sebabnya tak tahu kan, Allah kan, kamu tak akan cium bau syurga tu kalau saya ni awak, saya tak reda dengan awak. Dia solat pun tidak. Ya kan. Jadi so benda-benda ni lah yang buatkan dan kita pula yang wanita ni, mungkin sebab kita pun tak banyak ilmu, jadi kita pun allowing ourselves to submit tu. Okay, so that's about negotiation.
What I notice is that they are like floating in the ether of our let's say Malaysian culture, right? You can see it in media, you can see it in some of our novels, literature and so on kan. Ada floating around this idea of kekalkan harmoni keluarga dengan mengelak sebarang konflik. Dia macam tu. Sebab contohnya, right, some of the stories that I receive, bila saya tanya ada tak diutarakan benda ni dengan pasangan anda, kalau yang menjawab tu dia kata tak nak nanti gaduh. Tak nak nanti gaduh. So macam mengelak pergaduhan tu is higher than actually achieving agreement yang win-win. So tak apalah, aku kalah pun as long as kita tak bergaduh. Itu yang menyebabkan this relationship menjadi stable, right? I mean tak ada like peperangan, but then underneath the stability tu ada banyak like kesakitan, ada banyak like simpan-simpan dendam. Just tunggu masa je nak come out one way or the other kan. And I see this in drama, in novel, in our rhetoric kan, cara kita bercakap, bersembang pun. All these things, it becomes our education sebenarnya. And especially kalau this is the only education yang dia terima, no wonder bila dia berkahwin nanti, dia pun rasa macam, oh ni kot perkahwinan. And I actually got another story from another woman yang illustrate this point, di mana baru kahwin like a few months, and then dia dapat rasa something wrong because suami dia terlalu dominating, terlalu dominating. Semua benda ikut cakap aku. Jangan kata no, jangan bantah, jangan buat apa, just ikut je. Aku suruh buat. And then obviously mana-mana manusia akan rasa macam something wrong je kan. So she reached out, and her question really made me think. Dia tanya, macam ni ke perkahwinan? Is this normal?
Manusianya dia.
So dia bukannya macam immediately kata, oh this is wrong. Ini bukan sunnah, this is wrong. Okay? Tidak ada contoh dalam sunnah Nabi SAW macam ni. Dia tak like conclusively make that statement. Instead, dia rasa ragu-ragu. Dia rasa macam, oh mungkin ni ikut perkahwinan. Right? I look around, ada je perkahwinan macam aku punya. Ni ikut perkahwinan. Like I have to submit. I have to just mengalah. Negotiation.
What's your answer, Aiman?
Obviously, I would love to be there, like to mediate the discussion if I have the qualification, kan? But I give my default answer for now, which is in this kind of situation, when you are like at this kind of like a jam situation, you need a third party help, a professional, to dapatkan kembali the healthy balance between the power struggle dalam relationship. Kalau tak, the rope will snap, kan? So I I said you need a professional. You need to go to a marriage counselor. You need to have a mediator. Because you've tried everything. You dah cuba ni, cuba tu, cuba ni, cuba tu. Cuba berbincang, dia tak nak bincang. Cuba negotiate, dia tak nak. Dia kata, apa negotiate, ikut je cakap aku. So, you need a mediator. Right? And usually, let's say, mediation doesn't work, which can happen. Then the next suggestion would be to talk to a Sharia lawyer lah.
Okay.
The last resort of any kind of like situation like this, because nak avoid the bigger harm, and that is abuse. Sometimes you have to consider legal route, but before that, I always will stick to negotiation dulu, mediation dulu, and hopefully that will work. But kalau dah mediate dah negotiate tak jalan juga, then you need a legal route. Legal tu bukan maksudnya terus bercerai, Dr. Har. That's not what I mean. What I mean to say is that you need to invoke legal, perhaps that will shake this person to get his act or her act together. I remember this from one of the conferences that I went to.
Okay.
I forgot the Sheikh punya nama. I think his name was Sheikh Sajid something. Sajid Omar or something like that. He has a sajdah punya nama, Sajid or Sujud Sajid something.
Okay.
There was one small session that we had about marriage, and he said something about hak aku, hak kamu kan, my rights, your rights. The thing about rights yang very legal based ni kan, he said that you only invoke it when you have to. Bukannya macam every day kena sebut ini hak aku, ini hak aku. It's like you only have to invoke it when you really have to. Maksudnya apa? Maksudnya like that's like the last resort lah. When things doesn't go peacefully, you need to invoke certain like legal means. Maybe that will knock some sense into the person. Hopefully. So that's a short answer to what I just did to this particular person lah.
Okay. Maybe if I can.
Would you handle it in a different way?
Okay. Firstly yang you kata macam you tend to just tak nak lah ungkit benda ni atau timbulkan benda ni untuk kita bincang, takut nanti bergaduh. That would be the style yang kat bawah tu. Your needs and wants tu you tak you tak peduli pun, dia orang punya needs and wants pun kita tak peduli juga. So it's an avoidance kind of negotiation. You tak negotiate pun lah, kan? And that is actually passive aggressive. When you lose, that person pun lose juga. Because that is an opportunity actually to get to to a collaborative discussion and negotiation, and you ended up with an agreement that will benefit both. So you lose that opportunity kan. Jadi and I think passive aggressive ni dia macam nampak macam okay je, tapi sebenarnya tak okay. Okay, and passive aggressive ni juga antaranya yang akan berlaku bila you care so much tapi you tak tahu nak buat apa because the other person is so domineering. So you just ikutkan je lah. Tapi hati ni tak boleh tahan juga kan. So bila you ada chance aja, you ada peluang aja, you will do something lah sebenarnya yang sebenarnya in the long run satu it would not solve the problem and it would actually cause more problem juga. Apa dia passive aggressive behavior in marriage? Satu, dia tak bincang tapi dia cerita kat orang. Kan? Dia mengadu kat orang. Orang
social
tu pula
media boleh jadi juga.
Pergi kat soulmate kan ataupun mungkin dia pergi cerita dekat orang lain, kat pejabat. Lepas tu katalah tu masalah seorang isteri, cerita pula kat laki orang lain pula. So jadi lain pula jadi dia kan. That is not the way kan. Okay. Maknanya macam Aiman punya, so we go into yang question tu, macam inikah perkahwinan? So I will take that opportunity to actually explore apa yang dia punya, macam yang the first yang DM tadi, dia kata perkahwinan mesti semuanya tak semuanya
smooth sailing.
Smooth saja kan. I would like to know apa yang dia tahu tentang perkahwinan ataupun dia punya vision lah tentang perkahwinan tu kan. And most of the time kita akan bagi tahu mungkin kita akan lihat perkahwinan ibu dan ayah kita. Sebenarnya kalau perkahwinan our parents are actually very exemplary, so tak susah ni. Kita nampak lah our parents actually have negotiated so many times. So negotiation is like, you know, the bread and butter in the family. So along the way you pick up juga the skill of negotiation. In fact, mungkin you would like to negotiate. Maknanya kalau you suami ke, you isteri ke, you know, I nampak sini Erin Jo dia kata, you know, kalau negotiation ni kita kena negotiate dengan stakeholder. Maknanya apa saja decision kita yang mana these stakeholders are going to be affected. So memanglah maknanya bila dah kahwin, you tak payah kena bagi tahu apa-apa nak buat decision, mesti negotiate dulu. Mesti, especially kalau the other person mungkin ni kita tahu dia tak berapa berkenan ke atau macam mana ke, but these are things kita kena buat juga sekarang contohnya kan. So you negotiate. Tapi kalau dalam rumah tangga you sendiri kan, katalah rumah tangga mak ayah kita tak pernah nampak ni. In fact, dia punya negotiation style is actually manipulative ataupun avoidance macam ni kan. So that will be more or less your benchmark lah. Dr. rasa
kita model our parents,
So apa yang berlaku hari ni sebenarnya, katalah suami kita pun datang daripada yang mana bapa dia very domineering katnya kan, dan bapa dia tak pernah negotiate, dia tak pernah dengar dan dia sendiri tak pernah diajak untuk berbincang apa-apa pun. So bila dia sendiri jadi suami contohnya, how do you expect this person to be able to negotiate? Maknanya kalau bila dia ajar di Harvard, dia ajar di UKM, maknanya you need to know how to negotiate. Kan, maknanya dia ada skill dia tu. So yang macam Dr. Har bagi kat my leadership and interpersonal tu just 2 hours as a teaser saja sebenarnya, that student kena you know kena highlight dalam konteks leadership, especially so kita memang kena banyak kena belajar lah skill tentang negotiation ni. Dan of course in a family ni, that's a family leadership lah kan. Okay, so dan mungkin kan satu lagi kan, if you are a very confident and secure person, you wouldn't hesitate to negotiate. Let me repeat that. Kalau you are secure, confident, high self-esteem, very considerate, you know, with all those good qualities lah kan, you takkan susah nak negotiate. Orang yang tak negotiate ni selalunya very insecure, very non-confidence with their decision, tak? Dia macam so dia macam dia tak boleh handle kalau orang nak negotiate dengan dia ataupun orang nak bring their point so that dia kena kompromi kan, sebab pada dia ini memang sangat memalukan lah, ataupun this is really very disgraceful, ataupun and then dia kata lah this is very disrespectful because I am your leader. Gitu kan. So macam Aiman cakap lah, orang yang kena ingatkan orang lain kan, aku ni suami kamu, aku ni bapa dekat sana. Benda tu is obvious, tapi kalau orang yang kena tiap-tiap kali bercakap tu, sebenarnya dia bercakap untuk diri dia, you know, he or she needs to hear it kan, supaya dia tak dan dia kena bagi tahu tu sebab dia takut orang lupa tentang tu. Sebabnya dia memang kurang lah apa orang kata, mungkin dari sudut kepimpinan tu dia ada kekurangan. Dan instead of trying to improve dia punya leadership skill, dia tak nak buat tu, tapi dia start to just, you know, using the power yang dia ada tu untuk just impose kat orang ya. Jadi I think susahnya lah, kesian betul kalau macam tu. So what shall we do? What shall we do when you have when you have to live with that kind of individual? Aiman, any any suggestion agaknya?
Wow, when you have to live with the individual, I mean, first of all, let's acknowledge that the scenario where you have to live with that person is a painful scenario that for us maybe it's hypothetical, but for many out there it's a reality. Ramai orang sedang hidup dalam keadaan macam tu, either suami dia macam tu, atau like ayah dia macam tu, atau mak dia macam tu, atau abang dia macam tu, where you are in a situation di mana ada power imbalance and one is dominating the other, you know, win-lose and then lose-win. There's no win-win in that environment. So let us all acknowledge yang that's a reality for many of us, and it's not a bed of roses lah. It's very painful to deal with. Having said that, all hope is not lost. All hope is not lost. Negotiation yang kita bincang hari ini, it's a skill that can be learned. However, just like with any skill, it requires time for you to develop that skill, kan? Especially if you start from scratch, especially if you never had like a model that you can follow, or never had a mentor to show you how to negotiate, or you never had like a Harvard education or UKM education where you teach in a course, then you have to take it upon yourself to go find and search for that knowledge. There are plenty, I mean, especially today kan, I mean, we talk about social media, there's a lot of bad in it, but there's also a lot of good in it. You can find a lot of good information about seminars, courses, books that talks about negotiation. One in particular that talks about, actually it's not about negotiation though, but if you read it like closely, it kind of is about negotiation. It's a book about parenting. I believe maybe you've heard of it. It's called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and How to Listen So Kids Will Talk. Dia ada versi tajuk panjang, ada versi tajuk pendek lah. But you can search for How to Talk So Kids Listen by Adele Faber. Adele tu macam penyanyi, Adele. Faber, Faber. So in that book, what Adele Faber did was that she gave like the concepts, obviously, right? The idea of how to communicate with a child. But there's a lot of examples in the book which I like. So in these examples, you see apa you boleh buat when you have a person yang tak nak dengar cakap you, ataupun don't want to play your game, ataupun dia menang sahaja. Sound familiar? So it's a parenting book, but oddly enough, it also can be applied on adults, because some adults do act, apologies for my words lah, a bit childish when it comes to nak dia je menang, right? So for example, I'll give you an example, okay? In the book, one of the thing yang I see as a common pattern, right, is that when you want to start your negotiation, you have to always begin with acknowledging the other person. Like for example, kalau anak you merajuk sebab you tak bagi dekat dia lollipop, right? Anak you merajuk. So how do you negotiate? That's a negotiation punya opportunity tu, right? How do you negotiate win-win waktu tu? So one way you can do it, step one is to acknowledge yang your son is feeling sad, a bit angry mungkin because dia tak dapat lollipop. So you acknowledge it. Acknowledging emotion is not just for kids, it's also for adults. And when we talk about assertive communication, that's the first part of assertive communication, is to acknowledge the other person. This part ni, acknowledge the other person, make the person feel heard and understood, and really felt like you faham perasaan dia sebenarnya. You are with this person. And then the second part is, now you tell the boy yang sedang merajuk tu, why you tak bagi lollipop dekat dia. This is a very simple explanation lah. It goes deeper, but the idea is that this is assertive communication, which is the bedrock of negotiation, right? You acknowledge the other person. It takes practice lah. You acknowledge the other person, and at the same time, and barulah you masuk, okay, what's your point of view pula? So you honor, celebrate the other person point of view, and then baru you masukkan you punya point of view. And one hikmah that I can gather from this is that if you want others to listen to you, you have to make the person felt heard first. Kena bagi dia rasa yang dia sudah didengari, barulah dia bersedia untuk mendengar. Imagine in a situation where you nak sampaikan sesuatu kepada individu B, okay, you individu A nak sampaikan sesuatu, you cuba sampaikan, tapi individu A tak nampak macam dia faham, ataupun tak nampak macam dia dapat tangkap apa you nak sampaikan. Agak-agak you ready tak nak dengar apa dia cakap. In your mind, you are more preoccupied with asal dia tak faham apa aku cakap ni. Kenapa dia? You are preoccupied with that, so you don't have the brain space untuk nak mula menerima apa dia cakap pula.
Okay.
And again, this takes practice, this takes self-awareness, and maybe it's because of my own like life history. I thought this is something that you can develop. I wouldn't say easy, but you can do methodically. But I realize yang for a lot of people, you have to go much slower because they really don't have any context at all macam mana nak buat benda ni. Like for example, one situation, ini di luar perkahwinan sikit lah, antara bapa dan anak. So bapa dia nak anak dia jadi doktor sebagai contoh. Dia tak nak, dia nak jadi engineer sebagai contoh. And then bapa dia nak juga dia jadi doktor. And then anak dia rasa macam bapa dia ni menindas, bapa dia ni tak pernah dengar cakap dia, bapa ni tak memahami diri dia sebagai seorang anak, which can be true. But then first step of assertiveness is to acknowledge the other person. So how do you acknowledge your father in this situation? So you kena tap into his feeling, kenapa dia nak sangat you jadi doktor tu. And you have to acknowledge that, you have to address it, you have to bagi tahu ke ayah you yang I get it. You want me to become a doctor because da. Supaya ayah you rasa macam, oh, he actually get it. He actually gets it. And then baru you masuk dengan you punya argument. You cannot just simply go straight away with your argument. That's one way that I see how you apply that in your daily life lah. I've used it in my own daily life dengan Mira, dengan my own parents, because negotiation, even with my own son, yang 6 years old tu, it's kind of like a daily thing that you can actually practice and use. It's not just for benda-benda besar yang meletup-letup tu. It can be for that. But you can start small. Kalau ada yang tanya kan macam mana nak mula, you can start small. Start with your siblings, start with your roommate, start with your friends, start with your colleagues, something yang small. Negotiate win-win. Kan? And you go bigger from there lah, slowly you build yourself up.
Ini yang dalam kalau 7 habits of highly effective people tu kata seek to understand then to be understood. That helped me in so many ways. Dia especially dalam tajuk kita ni negotiation tu, when you try to understand the other person tu, negotiation tu becoming possible, and at least dia datang lemut untuk you have told me your story, let me tell you mine. Kan? And then finally dua-dua nampak, let's negotiate lah. Dr. Har ingat cerita ni Stephen Covey masa dia buat buku tu, dekat tajuk yang ni lah first seek to be understood, then first seek to understand then to be understood tu. Dia buat cerita macam ada somebody ni yang dia buat fence kan, biasalah kan dengan cantik sikit tu dia pakai this rail tu, kalau kereta api tu kan ada dia punya kayu-kayu tu. So if those used log ni, wooden log tu, wooden plank tu lah untuk jadikan dia punya pagar dia. And then the wife of their punya neighbor datang kat dia, wrote a note, masukkan dalam dia punya pigeon dan punya ni, letter box gitu, kata we would appreciate if you stop your project and maybe change that fence with other, maybe, maknanya wooden fence yang biasa lah, janganlah pakai that thing. So dia marah lah, dia kata, it's my fence, aku suka I lah nak buat apa kan. And then finally, the wife pergi jumpa lah, and tell the story. And then dia pun dengar lah kan. Apparently this husband dia tu dulu dia was involved in World War, and he was a very young boy masa tu, tapi dia kena kerja untuk macam kereta api maut Burma tu lah agaknya, like dia kena bawa, dan kerja dia adalah untuk bawa kayu tu dan letakkan for how many years macam tu lah finally kan. So bila dia nampak benda tu, dia ingat balik dia punya
trigger, PTSD.
So of course with that, bila you, and then of course dia negotiate lah, dia tak nak lah, because every time dia tengok rumah orang tu with that fence, dia akan ingat balik, and the PTSD pun maybe dia naik lah. So this is actually bila kita negotiate, we have to have this, we have to tell it all jugalah sebenarnya. Kenapa kita nak, kenapa kita, kenapa kita tak setuju. And that can only, happen if you have the courage to actually put that all, on the table. So I notice one thing sebenarnya. Negotiate ni yang paling susah adalah nak face your own fear, kan? You have the kind of fear and insecurity. So what do you do when you do not have the courage? You just avoid this. So you nak negotiate, you tunda, you either procrastinate ataupun you memang avoid it totally. So tapi maknanya kalau nak negotiate ni memang kita kena be present, kita kena address our vulnerability tu. I think contoh saya buat is like, you know what, I kalau boleh tak nak negotiate ni, I just want things to be ni, tapi I have no choice but to mostly have this discussion, gitu kan. Jadi maknanya kita tu dah bagi tahu dah, kita pun sebenarnya datang daripada yang tempat yang kita bukan yang seronok sangat pun. Aiman, kalau can I share a little bit more on the slide as to how to negotiate? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wina, can we bring that slide? Okay, alright. So ini satu quote yang I rasa sangat ni daripada Marcus Cicero, kan? Dia kata,
wow.
There are two ways to resolve conflicts, through violence or through negotiation. Violence is for wild beasts, dia kata. Negotiation is for human being. And it's mainly because kita ada, our neocortex ni lah, a higher cerebral function ni lah. How to negotiate? Dia sebenarnya ada stages juga negotiation ni. And I think you need to prepare for your negotiation. You tak boleh just tak ada homework, you masuk aja. You need to get as much information as possible. And then we exchange information. Itu adalah, seek to understand and to be understood too. It comes there. And then you start to bargain. And then of course you close and you have some kind of commitment. Negotiation is not an act of battle. It's a process of discovery. The goal is to uncover as much information as possible. Bila you cerita tadi kan, Aiman, oh my god, this is the slide yang ni kan. And this is the stages. First you prepare and you plan. And then you define the ground rules. Okay. And then you clarify and justify. Oh my god, this is all about. But how can you do this if you are not, communicating assertively, kan? You tak boleh cakap pun, the other person dah jerit dah. Kan, contohnya kan. And then of course bargaining and solve the problem, and then at the closure and implementation, kan. So you need to overcome barriers to negotiation. Ini nanti Dr. Har cakap. Do your research, very important. Negotiate in groups kalau misalnya, maknanya kalau you sendiri tak boleh, then maybe you can include somebody else, kan. Adopt a win-win punya philosophy, and of course plan your negotiation. Tadi lah, you kena plan. Okay, this is a very important punya ni. Barriers to successful negotiation. First kan, you sendiri you tak rasa macam, alah negotiation ni nak buat apa, tak payahlah. Kalau macam tu memang dah awal dah tak nak. Kan, you tak ada, your outlook to negotiation is not really positive. So fat chance that is going to fail anyway. Two, when you try to win at all costs punya attitude, ini bukan negotiation. If you come in with this, you're becoming more domineering lah, kan. The third, an over exhibition of emotions. Okay, dia emotion important tapi tak boleh over exhibit. Okay. And then four, lack of empathy. Inilah ya, kalau misalnya you tak nak understand the other person tu, which is actually more or less empathy, which is sympathy with your cognitive function. Of course, susahlah sikit
Yes.
And then wrong focus. Ini kadang-kadang kita, ini pun selalu berlaku dalam husband and wife, kan. Bila kita nak selesaikan satu isu tu, then kita drag the whole issue to becoming something personal about you and me gitu. Isu tu dah hilang fokus dah. Kan? And then dia mulalah kalau and this usually happen, Aiman, bila you banyak guna passive aggressive behavior, you diamkan aja. Suddenly bila tiba-tiba lah you nak bincang, lepas dengar Aiman dengan Dr. Har, okay, let's bincang bang. Tapi sebabnya dah banyak sangat passive aggressive kat bawah kapet tu, kan. So yang ni kan most likely negotiation will just be blame game. Yang keenam tu. Where you can just say, this is not my problem, that's your problem. Begitulah. So emotions are not the obstacles to a successful negotiation. They are the means. Tapi an over exhibition of that can be counterproductive lah. Ni
betul.
Christopher Waltz ni kalau you tengok dia banyak cakap pasal negotiation. And So this I do not know who Harvard maker is, tapi dia kata the most difficult thing in any negotiation almost is making sure that you strip it of the emotion and deal with the facts. Now I'm not saying that you strip it sampaikan you tak ada emotion langsung, tapi you have to be very clear. You know, the emotion tu memang kena you look after, tapi jangan sampai you miss the point tu lah. Yeah, and this is my last slide. Dia kata, kan tadi dia kata your fear tu kan, let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. Wah, yang ni jenis yang ask yourself what, do not ask yourself what your country has done to you.
He has a way with words.
Yeah, okay. Ni I think bila I ingat Ustaz Fahru Joy, dia memang ada dia cakap ni, kata adalah adalah baik menjadi orang penting, tapi sangat-sangat penting menjadi orang baik.
Yes, okay. That sounds like Ustaz Fahru Joy. Yeah.
Okay. So I think memang ni lah dia. Maknanya kita tak boleh, we have to prepare when we want to negotiate. We have to have our homework dulu, buat research sikit, ya. Kalau boleh kita get as much information from the other person. Kalau belum dapat, then during our negotiation tu kita kena get that information. Because most of the time agaknya kan, Aiman, kita selalunya tak tahu kenapa yang dia against that contohnya, atau kenapa dia nak benda tu. Sedangkan kita tak mahu. And there will always be some story behind that. Yes. Dalam cerita yang tadi kan, yang stepmom tu kan, of course they were like macam, you know, trying to get the attention of anak dia orang kan. And then of course yang mak yang betul ni dah nak having this terminal cancer, end stage dah. And then of course I think the other younger woman is going to, you know, kahwin dengan dia punya ex-husband. Of course anak tu kan akan duduk dengan dia. And so they were macam so torn. Tapi bila dia duduk sekali tu, dia kata, you know, I think Julie Roberts kata, I'm afraid that nanti bila anak perempuan dia tu dah besar, and then masa dia nak, you know, they want to go down the aisles kan, masa dia duduk kemas-kemaskan anak tu, dia kata, how I wish mom is here. Yeah, so padahal dia lah jadi stepmom dia kan. So dia sedih sangat yang tu. And then yang mak ni Susan Sarandon, dia kata, my fear is that siapa nama anak dia tu lah, she would not ask for me. Kan? So sebenarnya dia fear about the same thing kan ya. Padahal yang ini kan tak maksud dia tu. Okay. So finally I think the negotiation is this. Pasal di Robert saya kata, the younger woman dia kata, you know everything because you are the one who gave birth to them kan, so you know every scratch, every scar, lah. Lepas tu dia kata, okay, I can have their past, you are going to have their future. So yang itulah yang Allah minta maaf lah, I really tisu lah betul-betul kan ya. So, akhirnya dalam konteks ni, siapa stakeholder dia? Of course anak-anak tu,
the
and
kids.
Because these two women, dia boleh, I'm sorry lah, kena strip off juga emotion tu there, because now they realise yang sebenarnya anak tu yang punya kepentingan. Saya selalu movie ni dia buatkan kita berfikir lah. Yang monster in-law tu lagi cute. Masa dia negotiate tu kan. Yang itu yang you know lah kan, Jane Fonda tu satu, lepas tu siapa? J-Lo pun satu lagi lah kan. So bila dia orang ni oh my god kan. So you can really see, even if you're alpha, you're dominant, but when you negotiate, it's beautiful tau. It comes out to be something beautiful. Yes, cute tu. Dia kata, I don't want, you have to allow me to be called auntie, not grandma. Masa untuk dia punya future cucu kan. That's really auntie. So because that is actually dia punya fear. Dia tak mau nanti ada cucu tu panggil dia nenek. But then when they can actually put it all there on the table, and then get themselves fine. And then ingat lagi J-Lo kata, I want you to be present at every recital, itulah those important things for children kan. I want you to be. And then masa tu baru this monster in-law dia pasal, actually that this person actually want her to be in the life, in their marriage and their family kan. Tapi kalau kita tak bincang ni, Itu yang mak mentua dengan menantu, ya Allah, tak habis-habis bergaduh ni. Padahalnya
You
kita
have to put it on the table.
Alright. That's
Yeah. You
Okay,
have to put
Aiman,
it on
dah
the table.
10:39 tak sempat sebut navigation lah. Tapi I think if you can negotiate, you can navigate.
Navigation is actually problem solving because you nak mencari jalan, nak mencari jalan. It's like if you can think of it like you bermusafir nak pergi somewhere, and let's say something happen along the road, you mungkin miss your exit, right? How do you get back on the right track?
Alright.
So you need to know how to navigate. Itu yang kita maksudkan, how to navigate to get back on the right track. You have to know landmarks, you have to know how to kind of guess your position and so on. You have to know how to move around. And in relationship it's the same, because the relationship can go off the rails juga. Kan? You can go off course, and it can happen to the best of us, because that's the nature of this life. It can be distracting, it can pull you in either direction away from your shared meaning tu kan, to begin with. And you have to navigate back. And I think one key aspect that could tie together the two topic of negotiation and also navigation is that you both have to be committed in doing that.
Alright.
Dia tak boleh sebelah pihak je kan, Dr. Har, tak boleh sebelah pihak je. Tak boleh sebelah pihak je yang nak negotiate, atau sebelah pihak je yang nak navigate, atau sebelah pihak je yang nak bawa keluarga ke syurga. Sebelah pihak lagi ikut suka dia. It cannot be that way. That's not marriage doesn't work kalau seorang je yang buat semua kerja tu. It has to be both. It has to be a partnership. So sebab saya tahu mungkin yang hadir malam ni pun ataupun yang pernah tanya saya soalan, one of the common question Dr. Har is that what if dia tak nak? What if dia tak nak bincang? Dia tak nak negotiate. Dia tak nak, that's the good question. You dah try ke belum, right? Let's say for the sake of like husnuzon ke atas dia dah cuba dah, tapi dia tak nak. Dia dah cuba buat bincang, dia tak nak. Dia dah cuba dah mediator, dia tak nak. That's a problem of commitment. So you have to go back to another aspect lah pula kan Dr. Har, shared meaning pula. Shared meaning. Do you have shared meaning? Ataupun you ada your meaning, dia ada dia punya meaning, and it doesn't match. So it's multidimensional in a way because we are multidimensional. And the topics that we talk about tonight has to be understood in light of the other topics that we talked before. Sebab ini sambungan kan Dr. Har? Ini sambungan. So the reason why I say all those things because I'm guessing ada orang yang akan dengar ni yang akan rasa all these things, akan rasa macam aku nak benda ni tapi dia tak nak. I really want my marriage to work tapi dia tak nak. And I know this for a fact, and I think Dr. Har pun mungkin pernah dapat mesej-mesej macam ni kan, di mana ada salah seorang tu betul-betul nak make the marriage work, but then the other person macam tak nak. And to acknowledge that, I think is key for the people in this situation to start their healing process lah. I think to start thinking of negotiation, start thinking of shared meaning. You have to acknowledge that to begin with. Yeah.
I think that's very beautiful, Aiman, when you tie it all together. Tak rasa macam firstly kita kena, tadi kan kita cakap pasal constructive conflict. So what it is, I would say constructive conflicts are conflicts ataupun difficulties that we encounter that can
sometimes bergaduh.
That can be turned into opportunity to solve our problem effectively. And strong families, they manage to do this. Whatever conflict yang diorang buat, yang diorang ada, they will change that into opportunity. Macam lah kita ada krisis sekarang, pandemik ni, it's a good time to reset. Okay? Cumanya konflik yang non-constructive tadi tu, mana yang destructive tu is those area, tak banyak sebenarnya kalau ikut governments yang kata gridlock tu. Okay? Tapi maknanya kalau kata tentang financial, taklah semua tentang financial tu gridlock. Tapi ada area-area yang macam gridlock tu, maybe yang tu kena jangan pergi situ sangat, tapi maybe kita go to the area yang mana negotiation boleh berlaku. Okay. Yang penting dalam negotiation ni, I think okay, untuk yang bertanya, yang merasakan kata I sebenarnya nak continue this marriage kan, tapi the other person tak. Selalunya tu I think it's a biased views because kita ni selalu rasa kita lah yang paling betul dan the other person tu tak betul. Itu fitrah juga. So dalam government institute punya ni ada satu lah dalam konteks konflik ni kan. Dia kata rapport punya apa dia kata rapport system of opposites, something like that, you know. Rapport ni dia memang ejaan dia rapport lah. RAPPORT. So it's a silent T, so rapport gitu kan. So
is it
rapport
French?
ni yeah, I think so. I think this is a French. Government ni cerita dia kata rapport ni dia kata macam ni, every time you have a conflict kan, when you are with another person lah, contohnya dalam konteks husband and wife ni dua tu kan, you will feel that, you know, this person, you know, then you think that this person is so terrible tau, banyak sangat dia punya yang tak elok trait dia tu lah kan, yang negatif tu. So kalau you bagi satu kertas dengan ni, kata list down berapa banyak yang you tak suka pasal that person, so you pun list agak sampai 10, 20 banyak lah kan. Okay, nah. After habis tu dia buat satu lagi kolom kat sebelah tu, dia kata now look at all those negative traits and then see whether you have it or not. Any one of that, even a single one. So of course lah ada, takkanlah kau tak ada kan. So adalah maybe, of course kalau yang tadi tu 10 you tak suka, yang you mungkin 2-3 je lah kan. And then tu pun you kata, well I adalah sikit tapi taklah teruk macam dia ni. Okay, fair enough. That is number one. Okay. Second step, you list down the good trait that you have. Oh, itu pun satu hal lah kan. You memanglah think so highly. There is cognitive bias lah kan, Aiman. So you pun tulis 1 sampai 10 juga benda yang you bagus ni. And then buat satu lagi kolom kat sebelah tu. Okay, now think hard. Your partner, your husband tu, kalau kita wife lah atau your wife kalau you tu husband, atau ada tak yang bagus ni, trait bagus ni kat orang tu? Kalau ada satu pun lah, satu ke dua.
Identify our blind spot kan.
Right. So finally memang ada juga, walaupun kita kata alah sikit je lah tak macam saya. So dia suruh tengok yang tu. And I noticed kan Aiman, I think I got to know this about 3-4 months ago. I think it helps me looking into conflicts better. Especially when you rasa macam, you know, the other person tu is so antagonizing kan. So you nampak, alamak, you pun ada juga lah trait tu. And then kalau you, I ni lagi lah mudah lagi nak negotiate, orang senang lagi nak, you know, nak discuss dengan I. And then tengok yang dia pun macam tu juga. So rapport kata when you have this, your conflict punya tension is going to be reduced. Bila you buat rapport, I think system of opposite macam tu lah. Macam tu, I ingat nama dia, I wasn't prepared for that. Tapi I teringat macam tu lah. Ya, jadi ada soalan kan ni? Tu ada how to negotiate, how to kena tengok juga tu ya. At least Ain Shakira dengan Syahada.
Alright, Ain Shakira tanya 10:44 PM, how to negotiate in situation the other person keep blaming and gaslighting us. Similar to what I said lah. Kita nak negotiate tapi orang tu tak nak. It could be cognitive bias like you said. Kita like we see ourselves as always the victim and the other person always the predator. Tapi oddly enough kalau kita tanya dia pula rasa dia mangsa. Dan kita pemangsanya. So sebab itulah you put things on the table like with the movie kan. You put things on the table, you realize you pun rasa macam ni. You pun rasa macam ni. It's because you put things on the table. You don't macam pendam saja perasaan tu kan. So I think that's one area that you could explore as a possibility. Bukan nak kata betul as a possibility. Is it possible that you are having cognitive bias and then you think you are the victim and that person is pemangsanya. But let's say just to celebrate the question, it's true. The other person tu like memang reality dia asyik menyalahkan kita and gaslighting. Gaslighting ni macam mana nak explain dalam bahasa Melayu dia buat kita rasa bersalah tau. Dia buat kita rasa macam kita yang salah. Dia gaslighting. Dia buat rasa walaupun kita tak salah, tapi dia manipulate kita untuk buat kita rasa kita yang salah, menyebab kita boleh bersetuju dengan dia, but not in a good way lah. Gaslighting.
I think this is where a third party is going to help, kalau boleh, in the negotiation. I think and kalau misalnya tadi macam Aiman kata, pun dia ada person pun rasa dia victim juga, kita rasa kita yang victim tu. So I think a very orang kata non-partisan person can actually show that to both of you. So sebab dah tahap baru dia negotiate satu lah. Ada person ni rasa macam dia ada person tu dominan sangat kan, tapi sebenarnya bila dengar this person yang dia rasa dominan tu pun, dia pun cakap macam tu juga. Dia person yang dia macam tu lah. And then so I said this is mainly because you don't negotiate and you do not sort of assertively communicate lah your needs and your wants tu. So jadi dia jadi gini lah, tapi tak apa. Jadi ada referee. Kena ada juga sometimes. Kalau tak nanti your emotion just taking over all this lah, so you tak boleh fokus. Referee ni bukan apa, dia tiup whistle lah bila any one of you just tadi tu, you have to set ground rule kan? Ingat that was a preparation tadi. You need to have a ground rule. Okay. Syahadah pula kata, mudah-mudahan itu Ain boleh tolong you sikit. How to deal when we are enhancing a negotiation but refused by a person because he or she is too hurt for or disappointed at that moment. But to wait, things may be getting worse and the feeling might fade. So maknanya just the right time when you initiate a negotiation agaknya. My take on this kan, Aiman, actually negotiation ni pun kalau misalnya dua-dua tak ready lagi for the negotiation, dia mungkin it is going to be counterproductive. Betul. Okay, so masa the impact tu agaknya you need to come in saying that okay, I think this problem can be solved through negotiation, but not now. I think you need to orang kata kadang-kadang tu mungkinlah juga kan kena I believe in time out ni. Maknanya kalau misalnya dah tegang sangat kan, seorang mungkin kena time out lah tapi janganlah lebih 3 hari tu. Kalau dah 3 hari tak bercakap tu kan. And during this time out sebenarnya, the other person yang minta time out tu and the other person that agree, janganlah kacau. Janganlah duk text saja pula, text panjang-panjang macam tu. Tak payahlah. I mean, blackout sekejap. Jadi that is actually to get some space juga. You need your space juga kan. Tapi within that 3 days tu kena ada start lah dah negotiation. And kalau boleh kalau so yang ni kan Syahadah kata ni maknanya you nak help in the negotiation. So I think kalau tengah baru sangat luka tu, I think kena ada healing process juga macam Aiman cakap tadi. Yes. Okay, is it nanti jadi too late ke macam mana ke? Well, I guess kalau misalnya dua-dua dah macam ready to negotiate, I think you can start macam something fresh lah. Kan daripada you paksa juga macam tu. So I think kita pun semua tahulah sebenarnya kita tak nak perkahwinan kita ni terungkai. Satu lagi tentang negotiation ni, you will realise that katalah contohnya expression of love, one person feels so unloved. Another person, that person yang seorang lagi pun rasa unloved juga. It's mainly because love language dia lain dan dia tak tahu match. Rupanya love language tu you kena express your love tu through love language orang tu, bukannya love language you. Barulah orang tu rasa dia punya emotional penuh. And then your partner pula kena express dia punya love to you tu through your love language, barulah you punya pun penuh. And most probably ni yang Syahadah ni saya kata bila too disappointed or too hurt tu, most probably Syahadah, both of them emotional tank dia were the two tanks are running on E. Maknanya semua dah empty. So memang ni lah, so most likely itu yang selalunya lah, pasalnya ada conflict of expression ni kan. Okay. Ini banyak pula dah. Makin okay, kita bolehkan lagi Aiman, takutkan Aiman Ryan ke Yusof nak tidur ke nak tunggu papa juga.
Tak apa, saya telinga separuh tu saya dengar kat luar tu. If anything I'll let you know. So far okay lagi.
Alright. So I think kita pergi pula pada Ain Syafiqah. Ini lain tadi
Syafiqah
kan
Azman.
Syakira. So sila Aiman.
Is it possible or not seorang lelaki yang datang dari broken family yang tak pernah berbincang masing-masing dengan hal sendiri nak break the pattern to apply this negotiation style? Is it possible? Yes, Ain Syafiqah. It is possible. Macam kita mention sebelum ni, negotiation itu adalah satu skill. So if you don't have the skill, you can learn the skill. Cumanya lelaki tersebut spesifik kepada soalan you lah kan. Dia kena sedar yang dia tak ada skill tu. Kalau tak sedar, dia macam if you don't admit you have a problem, then susah lah. So dia kena sedar yang dia tak ada skill tu, number one. And number two, dia kena ada keinginan dan komitmen untuk membina skill tu, kerana dia nampak skill tu penting untuk diri dia dan juga untuk kesejahteraan keluarga yang dia bina dengan isteri dia tu. So it is possible seorang yang tak pernah ada pengalaman dengan parents dia negotiate ni kan, dia datang from like you said broken family. Yes, it is possible. Broken family ni jangan kita fikir macam it will doom us for our future. Forever, betul. Broken family is your past story. It's not your future story. Broken family is your past story. Yes, it affects you in your present, betul, but it doesn't determine your future tau. Dan ini kita boleh lihat lah dalam banyak kisah-kisah para sahabat, kisah-kisah Nabi, even kisah-kisah tokoh-tokoh yang kita hargai kan, macam para sahabat dulu nak bunuh Nabi yang dia tengok masuk Islam. So your past is your story from before, tapi jangan you project. Setengah orang dia project tau, dia buat straight line. Pas aku macam ni, future aku boom macam ni juga. It doesn't have to be that way. Depending on, ini dia punya kunci dia, depending on what you decide today. What do you decide today? Okay, do you want to follow your parents' footsteps or do you want to create your own? Do you want to learn negotiation skill or do you want to tiru macam mana mak ayah you, I don't know lah how they berbual dulu-dulu tu, not negotiating. So that is a choice that we can make as individuals. Itu bukannya nak merendah-rendahkan efek keluarga kita terhadap kita. Obviously, one of the main factor that create our attitude, personality, even our insecurity is our family. Betul? Ya. Kalau masuk therapy session kan, one of the most common question dia akan tanya adalah your family macam mana? How's your upbringing? Because it does affect who you are today. But affecting who you are today doesn't mean that it determines who you are today. Hopefully you know the difference. Influencing doesn't mean determining. Mempengaruhi bukan bermaksud dia mengawal kita dan membentuk kita jadi macam tu. Macam syaitan lah. Syaitan mempengaruhi kita. Tapi syaitan tak kawal kita. Syaitan tak ada kuasa tu. Even nanti pun bila di depan Allah nanti, kalau kita ada kan dalam surah Ibrahim kan, ada orang akan salahkan syaitan. Syaitan punya salah. Syaitan kata, mana ada, aku jemput je kau ikut. So itu menunjukkan influencing is yes, a force that we need to be careful with, but the decision to follow that influence is a choice. Berbalik kepada yang broken family tu kan, the decision to follow what your parents lay down for you is a choice. You nak ikut macam mak ayah you buat, atau you nak create your own style. It's a choice that man, or kita besarkan lah, that woman can make lah.
That is Ryan.
That is Yusof actually.
Yusof. Okay, Yusof sikit lagi. Encik Syahidan kata perbincangan dan ilmu yang sangat menarik. Musim pandemik ni ada banyak akses kan. Main Ryan, Yusof, bahaya tengok. Okay. Nur Anis Nabila dia kata macam mana nak negotiate tanpa emosi bila orang datang bash dengan soalan non-stop and package tolak-tolak bahu. Aduhai. Okay. Yang ini dah jadi macam agresif dah ni. Kan?
Ini agresif dah ni.
Okay. Kalau macam ni dia kira macam aggression ya. So saya rasa kalau dia sampai adanya perbuatan yang macam bersentuh dan boleh mencederakan, saya rasa yang paling penting adalah untuk menyelamatkan dirilah. Tapi ni tolak-tolak bahu ni I think macam yalah saja nak apa orang kata, harass lah ya, dan soalan non-stop. Soalan non-stop ni pada saya, Anis, dia akhirnya akan stop juga. Satu, bila you deal dengan somebody yang tengah dalam emotion dia, you just have to allow that emotion to go. Okay? Yang masalah kita hari ni, dia jerit, kita pun jerit juga. Dia tak ambil lagi. Yang ni Dr. Har belajar sebagai bila patient datang marah-marah kan, dia sebenarnya marah tu sebab dia nak kita dengar saja sebenarnya. Dia marah suara tinggi sangat. So kita dengar. Kalau dia berdiri, kita minta dia duduk. Tak nak doktor, saya tak nak duduk. Okey, tak apa, biar dia duduk. Kita pun dengar je, diam je dengar. Muka tenang, hati tu dah memang panas jugalah kan. Tapi dengar je. Lepas tu dia dah penat agaknya tu, dia pun duduk. Tu maknanya dia dah okey dah tu. Dia dah duduk tu. Okay. Dan pasal macam pressure cooker lah juga. Bila dia buang dia punya okay. Habis dah? Okay. Encik ada apa-apa lagi ke agaknya Encik nak cakap? Tak ada doktor, satu je lah. Okay. Dia okay dah. Maksudnya suara dia pun dah rendah sikit kan ya. Ini just nak deal dengan orang-orang yang tengah panas ni kan ya. Lepas tu kita kata okay, saya dah faham. Jadi kat mana dah, kalau ni Dr. Har ajar tentang ni dengan student lah, kat mana dah ya komplain cik ni sampai? Dah sampai kat pengarah saya ke atau baru sampai ke saya? Belum doktor, baru dengan doktor je. Okay. Saya ambil maklum, saya dah buat catatan ni. Saya akan pastikan masa ni you dah start nampak lah orang tu dah okey lah, lega sebab angin dah keluar tu tadi kan. So I think kita nak deal dengan marah ni jangan dengan marah jugalah. Ya. Yes. Okay, bukan senang tapi boleh dinikan. Sebab selagi you tak boleh dapatkan dia going back to dia punya, bila marah ni you ada flooding ya. You punya heart rate naik, macam mata you jadi terbojol keluar semualah. Yang itu kena kurangkan dulu baru you boleh ni, sebab baru dia boleh berfikir sebenarnya. And selalunya orang kalau misalnya you bagi chance dia ni, dia segan lepas tu. Most of the time dia akan ni sebelum dia habis tu dia kata, saya minta maaf lah doktor, saya tadi perangai tak apa, senonoh sikit. Doktor tak apa. Tak apa. Kan? Sebab dia pun jadi malu kan ya. Tapi
kalau kita marah Dr. Har, dia dapat justification kenapa dia boleh marah. Maksudnya kalau dia jerit dekat Dr. Har jerit balik dekat dia dalam minda dia, justified lah aku jerit dekat Dr. Har, because Dr. Har pun jerit balik dekat aku. So rasa malu tu tak sink in macam kalau Dr. Har boleh mendengar kan. Tapi yang kalau sampai tolak-tolak bahu, if it involve like physical aggression, I think the main thing to highlight waktu tu adalah keselamatan diri, right Dr. Har? Keselamatan. Kalau dah sampai like physical aggression, I mean negotiation tu, I mean kita kena tak ke tepi lah at that point, because you nak negotiate, you have to negotiate in peace. You tak boleh negotiate in violence kan, ada separation between.
Keluarkan parang aja tak payahlah.
No. Jangan negotiate waktu tu, lari waktu tu. Okay, report to somebody, talk to somebody. Jangan fikir macam tak apa aku nak negotiate. Not at that moment lah. Not at that moment. So kena faham juga what emotional state yang proper for negotiation. Obviously kalau kita fikir nak berunding kan. Obviously kita fikir kenalah berunding dengan keadaan yang aman, dua-dua relatively stable. I mean kalau seorang tu duk angkat-angkat parang atau baling-baling barang atau tolak-tolak kita, jerit-jerit kan, making no sense. No negotiation happening over there. Kita tak panggil tu negotiation lah. That's a dangerous situation. And hopefully waktu tu benda pertama you fikir adalah keselamatan diri. Keselamatan diri. So janganlah rasa macam you kena tahan je benda tu. So please talk to somebody lah. Talk to somebody.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, terima kasih Aiman. I think it has been very productive. Alhamdulillah. Ya, sampai pukul 11 juga kita.
Alhamdulillah.
So kita pun dah ada warning daripada Yusuf tu. Kita pun semua nak kena tidur. Alhamdulillah. Terima kasih Aiman. InsyaAllah kita bertemu bulan depan di platform Aiman pula. So itu je dulu. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Raya nak cakap tambah lepas ni boleh?
Boleh. Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Okay. Kita tutup live dulu.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum.